Hello, I'm Ryan Livergood, Executive Director of the Warren-Newport Public Library. Welcome to another episode of Library Connections, where we talk about what's going on at the Warren-Newport Public Library and what's going on in our community. And today I have Steve Carlson with me. Steve Carlson is a member of the Lake County Board. And Steve, can I say that you're really one of the forces behind the main topic we're going to discuss today, which is Lake County 211. It wouldn't have happened without your efforts. And I know it took a lot of people to get this to happen, but you were certainly one of the leaders. So can you talk about, Steve, well, first of all, hello. Sorry, we've been talking for
thanks for the invitation. And you're right, 211. I found out about 211 about 3 years ago now, and I didn't know what it was. Most people didn't know what it was. And I found out to my intense chagrin that every state in the union had 211, except, of course, us in Arkansas. So I jumped onto Lake County United Way, asked me for assistance, and I was able to get county funding for it. And they were able to raise a whole lot of money on their own. It was a classic case of cooperation between government and the private sector. And basically what it is, everybody knows what 911 is, obviously. In Chicago, there's a 311 where you can call for city services. 211 is a across the board phone number for any help you might need. And that's a big, tall order. But the example I use is if I were to call 211 and say, well, gee, I can't pay my mortgage. Well, why can't you pay your mortgage? Well, I lost my job. Well, why'd you lose your job? Well, I'm addicted to opioids. I mean, there are several different layers of things. And not only will they put you in touch with assistance, but they will follow up and make sure you got what you need. I've been on the county board for 18 years, and I've done some things I'm proud of, but this one takes the cake. I mean, I don't know how often a county board member gets a chance to say, I saved lives.
Yeah.
I mean, I get a little emotional about this. This is the best thing that I've ever had anything to do with.
Yeah. It's an incredible effort, Stephen. One of the great things about it, which I didn't realize until we started talking before we started recording, is that you can go online and take a look at the needs. And it just goes to show you, a project like this is a tremendous use of the tax dollars that are being utilized for it. And it's a public-private partnership, as you point out, because it wouldn't have happened without the support of the private businesses, correct?
Well, and you get a kick out of this. I was searching around for a way to fund this, and guess how it's funded? Money that comes from video gambling.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Now, I mean, I fought video gambling tooth and nail. I think it's a lousy way for government to be funded, and it takes money from the wrong people. But at very least, we turned it around with the assistance of my friend up in Antioch, Linda Peterson, and we dedicated money from video gambling to fund 211. So you could say we're repairing the damage we created. I don't know.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the money goes to NACASA, which is a gambling addiction service. So there's a certain symmetry there.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll take a look at the website. So URL, for those of you that can't see it, uwlc.211counts.org. And Steve, do you want to kind of give a big picture overview of this data that we're looking at?
Yeah, you can see housing and shelter is 43% of the requests. You can modify the data with, you're looking at the last 180 days. You could go to 90 days or 30 days or whatever. Pick a time.
Yeah.
And it tells you either percentages or numbers. But what really strikes you here is that almost fully 50% of the requests are for housing and shelter. And if you click on housing and shelter, for example, it breaks it down to what type.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Unbelievable.
So you would think, and I mean, the next one is utilities and that sort of thing. There are many programs that are available to help people in all of these different respects. And one of the questions you asked, Ryan, a little earlier was, where can people go to offer help? Call 211 and say, I want to volunteer. Who's looking? It's a wide open blank slate. But for those of us who are computer geeks, and particularly GIS, which is Geographic Information Systems with the map, it shows you where the needs are. And the beauty of this, not only does it offer assistance, but it validates requests for grants from government entities. You can prove the need. You can document and prove the need, and you can get some of this federal money and some of the state money and some of the private money that is out there. It's very valuable in that respect also.
Yeah, for sure, Steve, for sure. This is really great. So we try to keep these shows very short, and you and I could talk about a lot of things going on in Lake County. What I do with all the guests I have on the show is we talk about where you can go to get help, and obviously Lake County 211, great place to go to get help. But what about people and people that want to give and help in the community? Because there's some people that have the ability to give and help out right now. They could call 211 and they could volunteer their expertise, their serve,
Sure, they can call 211 and say, do you know anybody that's looking for volunteers? And 211 will give you some phone numbers to connect to. The other thing, obviously, is our good friends at the Warren Township Center, the food pantry and all that sort of stuff. This is very local. But, if you're not in the vicinity or for whatever reason you don't want to do that, just call 211 and say, look, I want to volunteer. Who's looking?
Yeah. And the other way people can help, if you don't have plans for dinner, you can help out our local businesses, because as you and I were talking about before we started recording, a lot of local restaurants are struggling right now.
It's going to be, I'm a pessimist on this. I think it's going to be a long time, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. And if you have a favorite restaurant, and I won't throw any plugs around, but if you have any favorite restaurants, call them up and order out. That's the only thing they've got going for them, and some of them aren't going to survive. And if you want to help them, that's the way to do it. The same thing, not only with restaurants, but with all businesses. There are many businesses that are open for curbside only. So, support your local businesses as much as you possibly can, because this is tough for everybody.
Absolutely. And if you don't feel safe, going to a business that happens to be open, Steve, you're right. There are ways you can still support that business. Call them up and see what you can do. I'm sure they'll be able to serve you in your vehicle, and you can do a contact-free transaction. So, Steve, anything else you want to mention to our viewers?
That's almost 5 minutes, but there's one other thing I did want to mention that I'm kind of proud of. We just opened it up, but for those of you in the Gurnee area, Data and 45, there's a brand new entrance into Rollins Savannah Forest Preserve there, and it hooks up with the Gurnee Trail that runs along the utility line there, and it opens up the whole west side of Gurnee to Rollins Savannah. Because our usage in the Forest Preserve now, my other head as a Forest Preserve Commissioner, is just about double. So we would encourage people to go out and use that opening, as well as some of the others. Go out to your Forest Preserve, exercise, stay away from everybody else, but that gives you an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. And I think that's one of the can I say it's a secret in Lake County, the forest preserves, because there's so many wonderful locations that are all close to us. And I obviously people are taking advantage of that now, but there's probably a place right on the quarter from you that you could take advantage of. And it's really healthy to get outside and breathe some fresh air. Even though it's getting colder, bundle up and take advantage of that. So
30,000 acres, Ryan, 30,000 acres.
That's great. That's great. We're very fortunate to have that. So Steve, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the hard work you do for our community. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for the invitation. Have a good day.
You too.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.